Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yasodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe. Jaya Radha Girdhari Radha Girdhari Radhe. Srila Prabhupada ke, Grantaraj srimadbhagavatam ke, Samaveda Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ke, Divine Appearance Day Anniversary of Shri RadhaKunda ke, Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Krishna Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're getting to hear from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 20, Lord Vishnu's appearance in the sacrificial arena. Text number 6. Asam sakta shariresmin amuknot padate grihe apatye dravane vapi kakuryan mamatam buddha asamsakta shariresmin amutnot padate grihe apatye dravane vyapi Kakuryan mamatam Buddha asamshakta shariresmin amunat padate grihe apatye dravane vyapi Kakuryan mamatam Buddha Want to try, Grace? Asamsakta, being unattached. Sharire, to the body. Asmin, this. Amuna, by such a bodily conception. Upadate, produced. Grihe, house. Apatye, children. Dravane, wealth. Va, or. Api, also. Ka, who. Kuryat, would do. Mamatam, affinity. Buddha, learned person. Translation. How can a highly learned person, now this is Lord Vishnu speaking, how can a highly learned person who's absolutely no affinity for the bodily conception of life be affected by the bodily conception in regard to house, children, wealth, and similar other bodily productions? Please repeat. How can a highly learned person who has absolutely no affinity for the bodily conception of life be affected by the bodily conception in regard to house, children, wealth, and similar other bodily productions? Purport. The Vedic ritualistic ceremonies are certainly meant to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu. However, by such activities, one does not factually satisfy the Lord. Rather, with the sanction of the Lord, one tries to satisfy one's own senses. In other words, materialists who are especially interested in sense gratification are given permission or license to enjoy sense gratification by executing the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. This is called Trigunya Vishaya Veda. The Vedic performances are based on the three modes of material nature. Those who are elevated above the material condition are not at all interested in such Vedic performances. Rather, they're interested in the higher duties of transcendental loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such devotional service is called Naistrigunya. Devotional service to the Lord has nothing to do with the material conception of bodily comfort. We could pray together. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Salakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shita Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganathan Vitam Tam Zajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shiva Shakan Vitam Sha Hey Krishna Karana Sindho Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta RadhaKunda Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakopa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Tat Sat. So I feel no hesitancy to speak on the modes of material nature. I have pretty good realization of their influence in my life. So I can speak with realization on this verse and purport. It's the transcendental devotional service that I have to pray for your mercy and the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas, to be able to repeat their message, which is coming from above, which is not of this world, which is not influenced by the three modes of material nature. And if I can do that, then service can be done to the message and to the Vaishnavas for the pleasure of the spiritual master and the Lord. So I hope you've asked Srila Prabhupada to speak through me. That's my only hope of speaking on RadhaKunda, which we will address in just a little bit. But first, this is so nice. I mean, anybody in the bodily concept of life, I am this body, then automatically they're going to think everything in relationship to the body is mine. It's my house, it's my children, my wealth, my car, my reputation, my activities. I did it. I earned the praise that comes from it, etc., 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 ad nauseum, actually. Lord Krishna speaks to Uddhava in the 11th canto of srimadbhagavatam, and he says there's not a, this is my embellishment of it, not a dang thing in this material world that isn't influenced by the modes of material nature. Everything in this world is influenced and controlled by the material nature. The laws of material nature, meaning the ropes of the modes of material the modes of nature. So only the pure devotees, because they're in connection with the Lord is transcendental to the modes. He's not, although he is the source of them, although he controls them, he's not under their influence at all. Never was, never will be. And anyone who connects with him on the transcendental platform, they also are unaffected by the modes of material nature. Now we're getting to hear how Maharaj Prithu had performed 99 sacrifices, and how Indra tripped him up and prevented him from performing the 100th sacrifice. Because if you perform 100 sacrifices, that qualifies you to become Indra. Well, Indra is not going to have any of that. This is my post, my service, my glory, and all the perks that come with it. So, being influenced by the modes, he did his best to stop it, and he did. And respect was given to him because of the position and the service he renders. Lord Brahma, and even the Lord himself, is saying, hold on here, King Prithu, you don't need 100. Be satisfied with the service you've rendered. You're setting example for the materially inclined subjects to perform service to the Lord, and as such, all your desires can be fulfilled. You can live prosperously, you can live peacefully in this world, and you can even advance and in the end go back to home, back to Godhead. So you've acted perfectly. But you didn't need one sacrifice, what to speak of 100 sacrifices. So don't, after having done all this service, come under the influence of Maya and think, I got to do it. You don't got to do anything. That's the message of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. One who is transcendently realized he has no service to perform, he has nothing to aspire for. And again, there's no reason why he shouldn't perform such services. But here the Lord, Brahma, etc., they've given a good reason not to perform the 100th one, and that is because Indra's disturbed. Let him to perform his important services peacefully. You're happy, he'll be happy, subjects are happy, I'm pleased. So it's a win-win-win for everybody, from the Lord on down. Now, the subject matter of these performances of the Vedic sacrificial rites, Krishna addresses it. I'm going to try and speak succinctly so I have time for RadhaKunda. But quoting the Bhagavad Gita 2:42 and 43, Krishna says, "Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to the heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say there's nothing more than this." In text 45, Srila Prabhupada, he quoted this verse in the previous purport. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. 46. All purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. And we know what the purpose is. Vedaischa sarvar hameva vedya vedantakrit vedavid eva chaham. By all the Vedas I'm to be known. Krishna is to be pleased. If you have an understanding of anything other than Krishna is to be pleased in your study of the Vedic scriptures, then you haven't understood anything. Just a partial glimpse. And when your glimpse is muddied, your vision is muddied by the modes of material nature, then you're not going to truly satisfy the Lord, because He's satisfied by nothing less than love. Service rendered out of the desire to please Him. So as Prabhupada says in this purport, the best purpose of Vedic culture is served, however, by chanting the holy name of the Lord as recommended by Lord Chaitanya, the deliverer of all fallen souls. The best purpose of Vedanta philosophy is served by inoffensively chanting the holy name of the Lord. Vedanta is the last word in Vedic wisdom, and the author and knower of the Vedanta philosophy is Lord Krishna. And the highest Vedantist is the great soul who takes pleasure in chanting the holy name of the Lord. That's the ultimate purpose of all Vedic mysticism. And then he tells Arjuna in text 52, when your intelligence is passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. I remember when I first read this verse, or had some understanding of Krishna consciousness, and I read this, I thought, wow, this is kind of like a cone. Kona? Is that how you say it? A Buddhist cone? You know, they throw out these things that you really have to bend your mind over, tweak your brain to try and understand. How does that make sense? So anyway, all these Vedic instructions, and then you're supposed to, they're compared to the dense force of delusion. So when you become detached from them, then you're not going to, have a misunderstanding about them. And there's a nice verse by Madhavendra Puri, wherein he expresses his indifference to all the Vedic rituals, even culture, if you will, wherein he says, "O my prayers 3 times a day, all glory to you. O bathing, I offer my obeisances unto you. O demigods, O forefathers, please excuse me for my inability to offer you my respects. Now wherever I sit, I can remember the great descendant of the Yadu dynasty, Krishna, the enemy of Kamsa, and thereby I can free myself from all sinful bondage. I think this is sufficient for me." So then Arjuna asked very pertinently, O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak, and what is his language? How does he sit, and how does he walk? This is such important questions, because we're aspiring for the liberated platform of Krishna consciousness. We're aspiring to come to the realized spiritual platform, whereby we can actually render some service to the Lord. It will always be through the transparent via media of the spiritual master. But when one becomes liberated and has pure desire to please Krishna alone, then one can directly serve the Lord. At this point in our Krishna consciousness, speaking personally, without the instructions of the spiritual master and without his accepting the services rendered and offering them to his spiritual master through the disciplic succession to the Lord, there's not any chance of our pleasing the Lord or what to, rendering service to him, or what to speak of pleasing the Lord. Impossible. The relationship of the disciple, surrendered disciple, to the spiritual master is incalculably necessary. Impossible to serve the Lord without the guidance and the shelter and the blessings of the spiritual master. So in these questions, how does he speak? What's his language? How does he sit? How does he walk? Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, the most important question of these is how does he speak? And he says, an idiot, a fool can get away with being undetected as long as he doesn't talk. But then when he speaks, then you get to hear what is rattling around in his brain. But a devotee, he simply speaks about Krishna and any and all that is related to Krishna. So that's most important. You want to know who's Krishna conscious? Then you can detect primarily and most importantly with your hearing ability. Listen to the words of the Vaishnava and prayerfully be receptive and perceptive of how they affect your consciousness. It's said that one who is a kanishta in devotional service, he can give one inspiration in devotional service. You can become attracted to devotional service listening to his glorification. A kanishta is a neophyte devotee. Thank you. Have you heard the term kanishta before, Chris? Thank you, Dravida Prabhu. A neophyte, it's the beginning stage we all start from and some of us are having trouble climbing out of, in all honesty. You can help somebody develop a taste for rendering devotional service. And the proof of it is, like, Dravida Prabhu mentioned, oh, you're going to be here for Prabhupada's disappearance anniversary. Yes, I will. And automatically I started, the mind was thinking, how do I glorify Srila Prabhupada? Well, I read this morning a wonderful offering by Mahatma Prabhu, wherein he was comparing Srila Prabhupada's transcendental preaching here in the West, starting in New York City, with that of the preaching of Lord Nityananda. Whoever saw Lord Nityananda, whoever heard him preach, heard the holy names coming from his transcendental mouth, became devotees. And then, very importantly to note, they also chanted, having taken the mercy in the process, and by their chanting, others became devotees. And then they became devotees. And that's exactly what happened when Srila Prabhupada began chanting Hare Krishna in the West. People heard, people began to embrace and practice, and then others hearing their chanting, their sincere chanting, they became devotees. And then they became devotees. The movement began to spread around the world, but it wasn't that Srila Prabhupada was the first one at every base, every location, San Francisco, Montreal, Boston, etc. He was first in New York City, and from there it all expanded by the potency of his words, the purity of his desire to please Guru and Gauranga. Now, how does that purity arise? The most important aspect of wanting to get out of the influence of the modes of material nature, those that make us sleepy in chanting japa or bhagavatam, or, I could give countless examples from my life. This is the most important aspect. The next verse, text number 55, says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind, thus pacified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. It's all about desire. That's what we have within our grasp. That's what we can manage. That's what we can do, is focus on what we want. Now, until you hear the transcendental message of the spiritual master and begin to embrace it, you don't know what to want. That was Balaram Prabhu's lecture last night. People think they're making progress just by filling their belly. Now, they may do it with the most expensive and rarest of, items. Or some of them are the most grotesque and, abominable foodstuffs, but they think, oh yeah, I've made it. Who else can, spend this much money on a meal? It would shock you what some people walk into a restaurant and pay. Thousands of dollars. Yeah, really, for one meal. Thousands. You get the rarest food, you get the rare, ingredients, and the rarest wine or liquor, and easily. And then, of course, there's the tip. And, people on that level, the fact that people recognize them, I can throw money away. They think this is it. But when one hears that, Srila Prabhupada says, we have to realize there is no happiness in the material world. The mental concoctions of the mind are such that he's always trying to tell us, we can be happy. We can cut corners in Krishna consciousness. Just like, can you hear me in the kitchen? Bang a pan if you can hear me. Can they? Oh, shucks. Just like going into the kitchen to begin preparing prasadam. I don't care if it's breakfast or lunch. Just cut Guru Puja. Not good. And I'll pass it on personally to the Prabhu I'm thinking of. Srila Prabhupada told Brajumya, for example, who 24/7 was at the beck and call of Srila Prabhupada. Not an easy standard to follow. You get sleepy. You need to chant your rounds, etc. He told him, if you're going to miss anything or everything, just make sure you don't miss Guru Puja. Guru Puja is the most important aspect of the morning program. Which brings it back to, without the shelter and instruction of the Guru, we have no hope whatsoever to become a devotee, or to speak of rendering direct service to the Lord. So, the mind's always trying to tell us these things. I'm advanced. I can, understand how to do devotional service and blah, blah, blah. No, we have to listen submissively, embrace it, beat the mind down to where we want to do what we're told. Don't do what we're told not to do. What Krishna likes, favorable, embrace. What he doesn't like, leave it behind as if it was our worst enemy. So, similar questions, but these last two, how does he walk, how does he talk, how does he act, etc. And this one, a couple of my favorite verses in Bhagavad Gita, set of verses. Next one, we're in the 14th chapter, 21st verse. Arjuna inquired, O my dear Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these three modes? What is his behavior, and how does he transcend the three modes of nature? So, three questions, and Krishna answers the first two in the next verses, 23 to 25. How does he, by what symptoms is he to be known? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions in the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active. And this is the beauty of Bhagavad Gita and the teachings of Krishna. We're not doing anything. We're not impacting or influencing anybody or forcing anybody to do anything or not do anything. All the activities that we do, whether it's thinking or acting, is the body and mind. And that's under the modes of material nature. And that's what's being referred to here. Illumination, what mode would that be, Jamal? Yeah. Attachment, Damodar. And delusion, Chris? You got 3 to pick from and 2 have been chosen. Do you know what the 3 modes of material nature are? You need to start reading Bhagavad Gita. Even if you're just reading the verses, my challenge to you, and I'm doing this with the inspiration of Vaisheshika Prabhu, read a chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. Been doing it for some time now, and it is pure nectar. Even if you can only read the verses, but you'll begin to very quickly get a concept, a glimpse of this fantastic ocean-like philosophy of devotional service. So there's goodness, passion, and ignorance. Ignorance is synonymous with delusion. So Krishna is saying, don't hate it and don't be attached to it. We are who we are in this conditioned state at this point in our life. It's like a leopard. You can't jump out of your skin. You got your spots. But none of the modes in and of themselves can obstruct the desire to serve Krishna. Prabhupada had full awareness that we were the lowest of low, monkey-like people. But sincere, we were interested, we wanted to know, and we accepted everything he said without question. That faith in the instructions of the scripture and the spiritual master immunized us from the obstacle put up by the modes of material nature. Without the hand reaching down to lift us up and from our side grabbing onto his hand, meaning his instructions, once he lifts us up, then we're in passion, we'll serve in passion. If we're in goodness, we'll serve in goodness, ignorance, etc. And the modes are always competing with each other, so those won't stop us from serving. And in time, the service and the continued hearing will purify us of those modes. So he's saying, they are what they are. Don't be attached to them. Don't be, how would you... don't hate them and don't like them. They are what they are, and it's all by Krishna's arrangement. So that is the first question. What are his symptoms? Then what's his behavior? Okie dokies. One who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, a piece of gold with an equal eye, who's equal toward the desirable and undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities, such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature. So basically we're dealing with the dualities there. As Krishna says, tolerate them. Heat, cold, happiness, distress. Just accept it as the Lord's arrangement and continue your service. Stay fixed, stay neutral to all of that. The outside distraction going on. And then, getting to the crux of it, how do we transcend the modes of material nature? Such a famous verse. Mamchiyo vibhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitjaitan brahmabhuyaya kopade. One who engages in full devotional service. Keep plugging the holes in the dike. You spring a leak, you got some spare time, don't space out. Hear, chant, or serve. Always engage in hearing, chanting, remembering, serving something in relationship to Krishna. That's full devotional service. Unfailing in all circumstances, when we come to that level of steadiness, then one's transcended the modes and come to the spiritual platform of Krishna consciousness. And then we acquire equality with Krishna. By his grace and the mercy of the spiritual master, then we become able to enact spiritual activities to please him. So that's all I'll say, trying to be concise. It was a bit longer than I thought. Today is Bahalas Bahulastami. And this is a perfect example. I learned something I did not know until last night in regards to RadhaKunda, the appearance of it, and my friend and godbrother, Dravida Prabhu, he wasn't quite sure what's with the Bahu Astami. What's the name mean? Well, Bahula is the name of a cow. And this cow was in Vrindavan, the forest of Vrindavan, and it was captured by a tiger, and it was about to be eaten. And this cow begged the tiger, please, dear sir, don't eat me yet. I have a calf who is hungry. Let me go and feed my calf, and then I will say goodbye to my dear calf and come back, and you can have me for your dinner. And amazingly enough, the tiger said, okay. He believed the cow. The cow went home and fed the calf and was saying its goodbyes. And the Brahmin who was sheltering the cow, who was taking care of the cow, or as we would say in common parlance, his cow, he heard his cow saying goodbye to the calf. And he go, what's going on here? Well, I've been captured by a tiger, and I promised to come back. Just let me say goodbye and feed my calf. And, of course, both the Brahmin and the calf said, no, this isn't right. No, we'll go instead. And you hear this. This is previous age qualities of the living entity. Sacrificing oneself for somebody else. Service attitude. So the cow is the mother, and the Brahmin was thinking like that. I can't let my mother be eaten by the tiger. I'll go and sacrifice myself. And of course the calf thinking the same thing. Oh, mother, no, please let me. This is qualities conducive for developing Krishna consciousness, for practicing Krishna consciousness. So all three of them went to the tiger and said, take me. Well, the tiger, being a tiger, he was really happy. He thought, wow, one course meal just turned into three. And so he was about to, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and eat the one he wanted. And Krishna appeared, holding his Sudarshan chakra. So he said, my dear tiger, the quality of integrity and truthfulness that this cow has exhibited in reciprocating with you, it's so rare. I appreciate this quality very much. May I ask you, please spare the cow. What to speak of the Brahmin and the calf, but please spare the cow, Bahula. If you do, then I will make you famous for a long time to come. Now, that's a pretty nice offer. Everybody likes to be appreciated and famous. And as Dravida, it probably didn't hurt that he had his Sudarshan chakra. Which do you want? Do you want the fame, my pleasure, or do you want my mercy in the form of the Sudarshan? Well, the tiger accepted the offer. He let all three of them go. And interestingly enough, I suppose because of the desire of the cow, Bahula, in the quality she exhibited in there in Vrindavan, do you know what results she got in her next life? She became a wife, a queen of Lord Krishna. Which answered a question that I had wondered often. What is it about the animals in Vrindavan, in Vraj? Are they going to be animals in their next life? Is that where their desire? No, the body, and this is all part of the modes and the bodily concept. The body has nothing to do with us, with Krishna consciousness. It's an anartha, it's unnecessary. It doesn't have to impact at all or influence at all the consciousness of the soul. So as they surrender me, I reward accordingly. So I assume there was some desire on the part of the cow to serve the Lord as a beloved and became a queen in her next life. And that forest became known as Bahulavan, which was what they named in New Vrindavan, where the brahmachari ashram was, and the little Radha Krishna deity served by Radhanath Swami for Das Brahmachari for so many years, etc. Bahulavan. And there is a deity that you can go to this day and see. My memory remembers the tiger and the cow. And I always thought, wow, tiger, cow, that's pretty far out. But the Prabhu I heard, refreshing my memory, talking about this, he said that also in the deities at this point where the pastime took place, you have the cow, you have the tiger, you have the calf, and the Brahman, what to speak of Lord Krishna. You have the whole ensemble. So anyway, it's a very auspicious pastime, and it happened on this Astami. And this is the Astami that we generally say that RadhaKunda appeared. Now, I shared with you what you might not have heard. Now I'm going to share with you something I had never heard. So anyone who thinks they've got a handle on the ocean of devotional knowledge is an idiot. We should always understand we don't know anything. Only by the mercy of the spiritual master and the Lord can they reveal to us. And book knowledge coming in one ear, out the other, or even retaining it, who cares? Facts and figures. But we want to surrender our life free of selfishness, envy, exploitation, etc. Just pure desire to serve Krishna. That's what we want. Now this isn't actually the appearance anniversary of Sri RadhaKunda. And that is substantiated by, I asked Dravida Prabhu to see it with my own eyes, Sanatana Goswami in the 10th canto, 65th chapter, in text number 2, gives a whole breakdown of the pastimes of Lord Krishna according to his ages and often on the titi in which they took place or occurred. The titi, that like today is the Astami, the 8th day. Prabhupada would say 8th day, or the 8th phase after the full moon. It's getting darker, I believe. No, Sanatana. And because I'm going to tie the two acharyas together. But he said that the killing of the Aristasura demon, the bull demon, took place on the full moon night of Chaitra. And Chaitra is generally, would I say springtime, April-ish? That's spring here. Anyway, Chaitra Purnim. And Vishwanath Chakravarti in his commentary has given a very elaborate description of how the pastime manifests for the appearance of Shyamakund and then RadhaKunda. They're very intimately connected to killing the demon. And before I get into the details of that, I want to say these are pastimes for our pleasure and pleasure of the Lord, but also so that we who are accustomed to thinking in terms of birth, growth, death, etc. Everything has a beginning, right? I was born 9/11/54. It says so on my driver's license. I identify with that, blah, blah, blah. We all think in terms of a beginning. Even many religions that ascribe to understand the soul think that the soul took birth with this body, but it becomes eternal from now on. This misconception is there, influenced by the modes. But eternal means never had a beginning, never has an end. Eternal. So RadhaKunda and Shyamakund or Govardhan Hill eternally exist in the spiritual world, in Vrindavan. There was never a time when they did not exist or will ever cease to exist. But in one of the pastimes, it's explained in Scripture that when Krishna was getting ready to come to this material world for our benefit and for his pleasure, he asked Srimati Radharani, would you please come with me? He said, well, I don't want to leave Vrindavan. I'll come with you if you'll allow Govardhan, RadhaKunda, Shyamakund to also accompany us. He said, done. So these pastimes, whether it's the the Sudarshan chakra being given to him, or finding the conch shell, Panchajanya, isn't it, in the ocean, killing the demon, looking for his sons. Sandipani Muni's sons. They all have a Leela connected to it. So this is the Leela that Krishna killed Aristasura. And then he wanted to engage, and this was when he was 9 years old, if memory serves me on having read it this morning. 9? Yeah. No, I'm sorry, when he was 11, wasn't it? This will have to back up. But they say he was there till 11 years old. Yeah, so it was right before leaving and killing Kamsa a few days later. Sanatana Goswami says when he killed Kamsa, which was just a few days later. So anyway, he wanted to sport with the damsels of Vrindavan, the gopis, and Radharani said, no, don't touch me. You've been contaminated by sin. You've killed a bull. Because he was bewildered. What's sin? What are you talking about? You killed a bull. A bull, he's a demon. Came here to kill us, kill you. And because of time constraints, I won't get into it. It's a wonderful pastime, gigantic shape-shifting. This mystic demon. The bull, the hump on his back, it was up in the clouds. His stomping of the earth is like, shaking the earth. I mean, this is no ordinary bull. So Krishna killed him, of course. And she said, no, it's like Indra killing the Brahmin. No, killing Vritrasura. He was a demon, but no, what is the example? Yeah, I think she says Indra, he killed the demon, but that, something like that. Anyway, forgive me for not remembering the analogy. So anyway, he goes, so okay, I got to become purified. What's my penance? Go bathe in all the holy places. Huh? They're unlimited. Balaram mentioned that last night. Everywhere is a holy place in India. The Lord or his devotees have enacted pastimes everywhere. So he said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to call all the holy places here. And then he took his heel, his foot, boom, down in the ground, and he created a hole, big hole. And then he called all the holy rivers, all the holy tirthas, and they came and they entered into the pond. And he bathed. And then he said, please come and bathe in this most auspicious kund of mine, this pond of mine. He said, we're not going there. That's contaminated. Your sins have been left in that kund. Ah. He said, here's what I'll do. I'll create my own kund. And so she breaks her bangle, and many of her gopis break their bangles, sakis, etc., and they start digging out very quickly. Boom! They dug a big pond themselves, empty pond. And then he goes, well, where are you going to get your water? No problem. I've got billions of maidservants. We're going to make a line from Manasa Ganga, and we'll pass the buckets, the pots, whatever, and fill up the kund. And Krishna goes, and he kind of gives a look to a transcendental personality, one of the, like a leader of the tirthas. And with that look, the devotee, the servant, the holy dham or personality knew what he wanted. And so he beckoned all the holy places to come before Srimati Radharani and fold their hands and ask for her mercy. And she's very pleased with that. And she said, what boon do you ask? And he said, our lives would be perfect if you would allow us to enter into your pond and serve you in this way. She was very pleased, and she allowed them. So there's the border, like RadhaKunda is west of Shamakund, and there's called a Sangam there where the two meet. So the holy rivers, etc., burst through the wall of Shamakund, and they filled up RadhaKund. And so this is how, and then they bathed. And Krishna says so many wonderful things. He said, this kund of yours is just as dear to me as you are. And there's quotes from the Padma Purana, from the Govinda Lilamrita. Anyone who bathes even once in RadhaKund will receive will awaken love for Radha and Krishna. In the mood, even specifically in the mood of the maidservants of Srimati Radharani. It is most holy. When you go to the Nectar of Instruction, the hierarchy of holy, holy, or holiest of all holies is given. And RadhaKunda is at the top. Vaikuntha? Nice. Mathura is better, because the Lord appeared there. Mathura is nice, but the forests of Vrindavan, much better, because the Lord sports there. And in all the forests of Vrindavan, Govardhan Hill, Balaram was talking about New Govardhan and the absolute nature of this holy tirtha. Much better. 2 reasons. 1, Krishna lifted it with his pinky. And 2, he engaged in so many loving sports with the gopis in and around the caves, etc., in Govardhan. And most holy of all holy places, RadhaKunda. It is non-different from Srimati Radharani. It is filled, their love is there and is simply inviting us. And Rupa Goswami says, very difficult to achieve entrance into RadhaKunda. Very, very difficult. But he says that ideally, if one can serve in RadhaKunda and daily take bath and meditate upon the leelas of Radha and Krishna, their daily pastimes, and take guidance of the maidservants of Srimati Radharani, then one will surely achieve that service, that relationship, that love for Radha and Krishna. So most holy. I'm unqualified to even bring it up, but these are the words Srila Prabhupada gave us. This Nectar of Instruction, I forget how many, was it 100,000 that he wanted printed? And this is from A to Z, the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. It starts out with the basics of give up sense gratification. It's like, control your senses and how to reciprocate with devotees, how to chant the holy names, etc., etc. It's all given there, ending up with service at RadhaKunda, bathing in RadhaKunda. And Srila Prabhupada wanted these distributed. And it shocked us all because, my God, I'm saying I'm unqualified. This is after 46 years of trying to practice devotional service, and Prabhupada wants this given out to everybody on the street. But that's the potency of the transcendental message. The potency has the ability to enter into the heart, for Krishna to be pleased and to give piety, first and foremost, if one hasn't already accumulated it, sukriti, and then, desire, reawakening the desire to engage in devotional service. So today is the anniversary when Lord Chaitanya rediscovered RadhaKunda. He was in Vrindavan for approximately 4 months, Chaturmas. And he wandered, arrived in Mathura. He wandered all the 12 forests of Vrindavan. And then when he came to Rit Gram, which is what the village is called now, it's the place where Krishna killed Aristasura, the bull demon, and where Radha and Shyamakund's were manifest. But 500 years ago, they weren't manifest. You had your rice paddy fields and whatever out in the fields, agricultural fields. That was it. And being Radha Krishna combined, he knew where it was. He came and he found a little muddy spot there with water there, and he bathed in it. And all the farmers, the Brajvasis, are thinking, what in the world is that sannyasi doing? And he was in ecstasy. He had found RadhaKunda. And he began saying the wonderful prayers. They're there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. They're also given in Nectar of Instruction in some of the purports. And he gave the glorification of RadhaKunda. And then he took mud and he put tilak on, and he collected mud and he gave it to his servant, Balabhadra, to carry back. He wanted to serve and remember this most sacred of places, RadhaKunda. So he rediscovered it, And so, interestingly enough, I've already shared with you that on the transcendental platform, there's no appearance or disappearance. RadhaKunda is eternal, I'm eternal, you're eternal, the spiritual master. In a week or so, 2 weeks, we're going to be celebrating Srila Prabhupada's disappearance. Non-devotees have a hard time understanding, wow, you throw a party for his leaving, his dying? But nobody dies. And for the spiritual master, his disappearance, going on to preach elsewhere or going back into the spiritual world, most glorious, setting the example that all of us should aspire for. And so we celebrate. It's just as auspicious as his having appeared in this world to deliver us. So this appearance and discovery of RadhaKunda on the transcendental platform are absolute. And so our celebrating the discovery of RadhaKunda, and there's kind of interestingly, there's a tradition that goes along with bathing at RadhaKunda at midnight. And it's really amazing because it kind of shows the amalgamation in our Gaudiya culture with the local culture. And that is that on that Astami, barren women who want to have a child are recommended to worship such and such a deity. It's not Krishna, so that's why I say local tradition. It's a cultural tradition. And then the culmination and the ending of the desire, the performance of these services to have a child is bathed in RadhaKunda at midnight. And so somehow over the course of time, they become amalgamated where us ISKCON devotees, for the most part, think, well, this is when RadhaKunda appeared. But it's not when it appeared, it's when it was rediscovered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And evidently during the month of Chaitra, full moon night, at midnight, many Gaudiya Vaishnavas who have read Sanatana Goswami's commentary and who understand that this is when it appeared, they bathe there at midnight, commemorating the appearance in this material world of RadhaKunda. So whether you bathe on the full moon night or the Astami or any time, it's like I tell my Prabhus, if you get a chance to go to the Holy Dham, beg, borrow, steal. It doesn't matter if it's hot, cold, or perfect in spring and Kartik. Get there, because it's all auspicious. So hearing about RadhaKunda, hearing about the glories of Radha and Krishna's loving reciprocations, the apex of transcendental reality, this is all auspicious. And this is what we do on this day. We talk about, we hear, we try to remember, and ultimately share with others in a way in which they can become inspired to begin the chanting of Hare Krishna and the process of devotional service. So I think I'm going to end there, although what time is it? Yeah, I guess I can end. If there's a breakfast, then I can also include some of the more modern nectar of RadhaKunda. I'll just go ahead and say this. If you go to Mayapur in Navadvip Dham Parikram, in between Goldramadvip and Vijayanagara, but what's the island? It's escaping me. The home of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, where Lord Chaitanya went to see, pastimes. It's all about the island of knowledge. All knowledge, all Vedas, all of it comes from that island in Navadvip. But on the way there, you pass through Ritudvip, the island of the seasons, like in RadhaKunda and in Vraj. In the spiritual world, all the seasons can happen simultaneously. The best aspect of every season can happen and be manifesting for the pleasure of Radha and Krishna and their pastimes, facilitating what they want to do. So Ritudvip, when you're walking along, in between, it's a long walk, kind of, a couple hours walk from Champakahata's grove to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's previous house. Then on the side there, somewhere is RadhaKunda. And for a few years, it was just a tiny little pond in a rice field, etc. And we've stopped taking the detour and going down into the field and what have you. I don't think the farmers appreciated it. But it was the same way with Lord Chaitanya. So anyway, RadhaKunda is there in Ritadweep. And also, it's worth noting that it's right there at the Sri Chaitanya Mठ of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's. And this is an example to use how this temple right here is non-different than Govardhan. How is RadhaKunda in two places in Navadvip? We know it's Navadvip and Vrindavan are simultaneously one and different. They're the same. So RadhaKunda in Vrindavan, RadhaKunda in Navadvip, yeah, that makes sense. But two RadhaKundas in Mayapur, in Navadvip. So by the strength and the purity of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's devotional service, when he did his vrata of chanting 1 billion names of the Maha Mantra, while he was doing that, RadhaKunda manifested there at his Bhajan Kutir. He saw RadhaKunda, Srimati Radharani manifest RadhaKunda for him, and he would enter into RadhaKunda while chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And he asked his disciples to excavate a pond there, and RadhaKunda was manifest. What he manifest or realized on the spiritual platform, he let others see. And then they asked, well, can we make Shamakund? Can we bring some Govardhan Shilas, bring a Govardhan Hill? So when you go to Mayapur, you can also take advantage of RadhaKunda right there, just a few minutes away from our own temple. So with that, I'll stop, and we can have any further discussion afterwards. But Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri RadhaKunda ki, Shamakund ki, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Radha Girdhari ki.